The command bridge of the alien flagship fell into absolute silence. Hundreds of translucent holograms floated above the circular command table, each displaying a different region of the Milky Way. Entire civilizations shimmered as glowing points of light. Trade routes, military installations, planetary shields, and energy signatures stretching across thousands of star systems. At the center of every projection, one insignificant blue planet blinked quietly. Earth. The eldest member of the High Observation Council slowly extended a four-fingered hand over the hologram. Begin final assessment. The room instantly came alive. Streams of impossible calculations raced across crystalline displays. Artificial intelligences older than many civilizations analyzed humanity's technology, military capability, economy, biology, psychology, and probability of survival. The answer arrived within seconds. Technological threat: minimal. Galactic influence: insignificant. Probability of successful resistance: 0.003%. Several officers released faint clicks of amusement. Primitive, violent, divided, barely capable of leaving their own solar system. By every known metric, humanity ranked among the weakest intelligent species ever catalogued. Yet, one display refused to turn green. Instead, it glowed crimson. The bridge grew silent again. "What anomaly remains?" asked the Supreme Navigator. An intelligence core responded in a calm mechanical voice. "Historical inconsistency detected." The room darkened. Ancient archives, older than most galaxies' written histories, began unfolding across the ceiling. Millions of years of records. Thousands of extinct empires. Entire civilizations erased from existence. Yet one strange pattern appeared again. Whenever an unknown catastrophic event destroyed an advanced civilization, one distant system was always left untouched. Sol. Earth's star. Impossible. Humanity had only recently evolved. How could records billions of years old repeatedly reference the same region? The Council dismissed it as coincidence. After all, the planet currently possessed combustion engines, chemical rockets, and nuclear weapons. Nothing more. The Supreme Navigator closed the archive. Proceed with Mission Dawn. Instantly, dozens of colossal warships surrounding the flagship rotated toward the outer rim of the solar system. Each vessel dwarfed Earth's largest cities. Each carried weapons capable of extinguishing continents without touching the atmosphere. This wasn't an invasion. Not yet. It was supposed to be a demonstration. Appear over Earth. Force unconditional surrender. Integrate humanity peacefully into the galactic dominion. Standard procedure. Nearly 5,000 civilizations had surrendered within hours. None had ever resisted. Why would these primitive mammals be different? Meanwhile, nearly 6 billion kilometers away, beyond the orbit of Neptune, something impossible awakened. No alarms sounded. No radio transmissions escaped. No satellites observed it. Buried inside complete darkness floated an object so enormous that even the alien fleet's sensors ignored it, assuming it was another fragment of frozen rock. It wasn't. A single blue light appeared. Then another. Then thousands. Ancient reactors, dormant for centuries, hummed back to life. Massive armored structures unfolded silently. Docking bays the size of mountain ranges opened one after another. Rows upon rows of warships, sleek, black, and unlike anything humanity had ever publicly revealed, began powering up. An artificial intelligence spoke for the first time in 312 years. Threat assessment confirmed. A pause. Then, Protocol Atlas initiated. Across the hidden installation, countless crews awakened from cryogenic sleep. Men and women opened their eyes without panic. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. Not because they expected war, but because humanity had always believed one truth. If we are not alone, Someone will eventually come. Back on Earth. Life continued as usual. Children walked to school. Astronauts prepared routine missions. Scientists debated dark matter. No one noticed that dozens of unfamiliar objects had just entered the solar system. Except one. Dr. Elena Hayes stared at an impossible signal arriving from deep space. It wasn't random. It wasn't natural. It repeated every 17 seconds. The same message. Over. And over. And over again. She translated the mathematical sequence twice before refusing to believe it. Then she translated it a third time. Her blood ran cold. Only 3 words emerged. We found you. Far beyond Pluto, thousands of hidden engines ignited simultaneously, illuminating the darkness with a silent blue glow. Humanity's greatest secret had just awakened. And somewhere aboard the alien flagship, a warning indicator flashed for the very first time. Unknown human military asset detected. The bridge fell silent. No one laughed anymore. The warning spread across the alien flagship in less than a heartbeat. Not because the signal was loud. Because it shouldn't have existed. A crimson icon pulsed above the central hologram. Unidentified human installation. Location. Kuiper region. Size. Unknown. The bridge crew exchanged confused glances. The Galactic Dominion had mapped nearly every gravitational anomaly in the Milky Way over thousands of years. Their sensors could detect a shuttle hidden behind a moon from 10 light-years away. Yet something the size of a small planet had remained invisible. Magnify. The hologram expanded. At first, it appeared to be nothing more than a field of drifting ice and rock beyond Pluto. Then the filters changed. The asteroids began moving. Not randomly. In perfect formation. Millions of icy boulders shifted like pieces on a cosmic chessboard, revealing an immense artificial structure concealed beneath layers of frozen debris. The bridge grew silent. A technician whispered, "Impossible." The object stretched for thousands of kilometers. Its outer shell was scarred by age, yet every surface carried unmistakable signs of advanced engineering. Gigantic hangar doors opened one after another. Blue-white energy illuminated the darkness. Then the first ship emerged. It was unlike any vessel recorded in the Dominion archives. No elegant curves. No decorative spires. No shimmering energy sails. Only thick armor, angular hulls, enormous engines, and weapon batteries built with one purpose: war. Then came another. And another. Hundreds became thousands. Thousands became tens of thousands. Within minutes, an entire hidden fleet drifted into formation beyond Pluto. Every officer on the flagship stared in disbelief. "This cannot belong to humanity," one commander insisted. "They don't possess this level of technology." The Supreme Navigator remained silent. Because the sensor readings told a different story. Every vessel carried unmistakable human life signatures. Every command channel used human encryption. Every reactor emitted isotopes first discovered on Earth. These ships were human. Not alien. Not stolen. Built by Earth. Thousands of kilometers beneath the oceans of Earth, in facilities unknown to the public, encrypted communication systems activated simultaneously. Red lights flashed across command centers buried beneath mountains, deserts, and polar ice. One message appeared on every screen. Atlas Protocol confirmed. For decades, every major nation had competed on the surface. Politics, borders, economics, wars. But hidden beneath those conflicts was an agreement so secret that only a handful of leaders knew it existed. Centuries earlier, humanity's greatest scientists had reached the same conclusion. The universe was too old, too vast, too quiet. Either intelligent life was extraordinarily rare, or someone was watching. From that moment forward, governments quietly funded projects that officially did not exist. The public saw space agencies launching research satellites. The truth was very different. Mining operations on distant asteroids, fusion experiments, artificial intelligence beyond civilian limits, deep space construction yards hidden beyond the reach of telescopes. Entire generations lived and died believing they were building humanity's future among the stars. Only a select few knew they were preparing for humanity's first war, one they prayed would never come. Aboard the Atlas station beyond Pluto, Admiral Marcus Hale stepped onto the command deck. His hair had turned silver long before he entered cryogenic sleep. His uniform bore no national flag, only a single emblem. A blue planet surrounded by stars. The bridge crew stood. Status: Dominion fleet entering outer system. Estimated strength: 38,000 capital ships. Planet killer class. Confirmed. The room remained calm. No panic. No shouting. Just professionals doing the job they had trained for their entire lives. A young officer hesitated before speaking. "Sir, Earth still doesn't know." Marcus looked toward the distant glow of the sun. They weren't supposed to. He walked toward the observation window. From this distance, Earth was invisible. Just another tiny point of light among billions. "So," he said quietly, "our day finally came." On the alien flagship, emergency intelligence reports continued pouring in. Every news scan uncovered another impossible discovery. Hidden factories inside dwarf planets. Energy collectors orbiting forgotten comets. Automated defense platforms disguised as ordinary asteroids. Even more disturbing, many of these installations had been operating for over 200 years. Without detection. The Supreme Navigator finally broke the silence. "How?" No one answered. Then the ship's ancient strategic AI spoke. Its voice lacked emotion, but for the first time in 8,000 years, it carried uncertainty. Historical comparison complete. Displaying classified archives. Ancient star maps appeared overhead. One image froze every officer in place. It showed the solar system. Recorded 9,000 years ago. And even then, there was a faint artificial energy signature beyond Pluto. The installation had been there long before humanity reached space. The bridge erupted in confusion. "That's impossible. Humans hadn't invented metal flight." "Who built it?" The AI processed for several seconds. Its final answer chilled every soul aboard the flagship. "Unknown." Then another alert echoed through the bridge. "Incoming transmission. Origin. Human Fleet Command." The transmission contained no threats, no demands. Only one calm sentence from an unidentified human voice. "You have crossed the line we hoped no one would ever find." The channel closed. Across the darkness beyond Pluto, thousands of human warships accelerated toward the approaching alien armada. For the first time in galactic dominion history, an invasion fleet realized it might not be the stronger side. No one fired. Not yet. Across nearly 6 billion kilometers of cold, silent space, two fleets drifted toward one another like opposing continents. There were no roaring engines, no explosions, no dramatic music. Only silence. A silence so complete that every officer on both sides became painfully aware that the next decision could reshape the history of the galaxy. On the bridge of the Dominion flagship, Supreme Navigator Koresh studied the tactical display. 38,000 Dominion warships. Against 27,000 confirmed human vessels. By the numbers alone, victory still belonged to the Dominion. Their technology was centuries ahead of anything younger civilizations possessed. Their shield harmonics had survived supernova shockwaves. Their particle lances could split moons in half. And yet, no one on the bridge looked confident, because every human ship behaved differently from every fleet they had ever faced. There were no ceremonial formations. No command vessels displayed proudly at the center. No predictable battle lines. Instead, every ship constantly shifted position, exchanging encrypted bursts of information so rapidly that Dominion computers struggled to identify a flagship. "They're hiding their command structure," one analyst observed. Koresh narrowed his eyes. "No." A pause. "They don't have one." The realization spread through the bridge. Every human vessel appeared capable of operating independently. Destroy one. The others continued. Destroy 1,000. The formation adapted instantly. It was less like an army, and more like a living organism. Aboard the Atlas Command ship Resolute, Admiral Marcus Hale watched the alien fleet through a panoramic tactical display. Status: enemy weapons charging. Probability of first strike: 72%. Marcus folded his hands behind his back. Maintain silence. No speeches. No dramatic countdown. Every captain already knew the plan. Humanity had spent nearly 3 centuries preparing for exactly one scenario. Not if aliens came, but how they would think. Military historians, psychologists, game theorists, linguists, and artificial intelligences had modeled thousands of possible first-contact conflicts. Their conclusion had been startlingly simple. Every dominant civilization eventually became predictable. Confidence became doctrine. Doctrine became weakness. Humanity intended to exploit both. On Earth, the first signs of the crisis finally became public. Astronomers around the world detected impossible energy signatures beyond Pluto. Observatories in Chile, Hawaii, Australia, China, India, South Africa, and orbit all reported the same anomaly. News networks interrupted programming. What are these objects? Why weren't they seen before? Governments issued identical statements. No immediate danger exists. Few believed them. Within hours, social media filled with blurry telescope images showing tiny blue flashes in the darkness beyond Neptune. Most people assumed they were sensor glitches. A handful guessed the truth. None imagined how close humanity stood to war. Back in deep space, Dominion Commander Varek grew impatient. "We should fire now." Koresh remained motionless. "No. They are outnumbered." "Perhaps. They are technologically inferior." "Perhaps. Then why hesitate?" Koresh replayed one piece of data. The ancient archive. The unexplained structure beyond Pluto. The repeated survival of the Sol system across forgotten galactic catastrophes. Then the mysterious transmission. "You have crossed the line we hoped no one would ever find." It didn't sound like a bluff. It sounded like a warning. Suddenly, every Dominion sensor screamed. Thousands of new contacts appeared. Not from ahead. Not from behind. From everywhere. Dormant asteroids cracked open. Frozen comets unfolded into missile platforms. Tiny probes, hidden for centuries in deep space, awakened simultaneously. Within minutes, more than 2 million autonomous defense drones surrounded the approaching Dominion armada. The tactical display became a sea of red. They were hiding mines. An officer gasped. "No," the AI corrected. "They are maneuvering." The drones accelerated with terrifying precision, weaving between planets, moons, and debris fields as if they had rehearsed the battle countless times. Perhaps they had. Marcus Hale finally gave his first order. Broadcast to every ship. The transmission spread instantly across the human fleet. Every captain received the same 5 words. Hold. Let them choose. No human weapon charged. No missiles launched. No threats issued. Humanity offered the Dominion a final chance to leave. That restraint unsettled the alien commanders more than any display of force could have. Because conquerors expected fear, not confidence. Commander Varek slammed a claw against his console. "They're stalling us." Koresh answered quietly. "No. They're measuring us." Before anyone could respond, another signal arrived from the human fleet. This time, it wasn't encrypted. It was broadcast openly on every frequency. Every Dominion officer heard the calm human voice. For 312 years, we prepared for visitors. A pause. We hoped they would come as friends. Another pause. Do not force us to prove why we prepared for enemies. Silence returned. Across the vast darkness of the outer solar system, tens of thousands of warships waited. One decision, one trigger, one mistake, and the greatest battle in galactic history would begin. The silence lasted exactly 43 seconds. Across the Dominion fleet, battle AIs ran trillions of simulations. In 91.8% of them, an immediate strike resulted in victory. In the remaining 8.2%, losses were unusually high. Not catastrophic. Just costly. For an empire that had ruled unchallenged for nearly 10,000 years, even the possibility of heavy losses was unacceptable. Commander Varek refused to wait any longer. They're bluffing. Supreme Navigator Koresh didn't answer. Varek stepped toward the tactical console. If humans truly possessed superior power, they would have used it already. He turned toward the fleet-wide communications channel. Prepare the vanguard. Thousands of Dominion weapon systems began charging. Deep violet energy rippled across the hulls of their capital ships. Space itself distorted around the massive particle lances. Every human sensor immediately detected the energy surge. On the bridge of the Resolute, no one panicked. Marcus Hale simply looked at the countdown. Enemy firing solution in 5, 4, 3. A young lieutenant whispered, "Sir." Marcus nodded. They've made their choice. Far above Earth, astronomers watched in horror. The outer solar system suddenly erupted with impossible flashes of energy. No telescope could resolve individual ships. But everyone could see the light. It was brighter than entire planets. Around the world, observatories sent emergency alerts. Governments activated continuity protocols. Military satellites pivoted toward deep space. For the first time in recorded history, humanity knew it was not alone. Commander Varek smiled. Fire. 30,000 Dominion weapons discharged simultaneously. Columns of blinding energy crossed millions of kilometers in perfect synchronization. To any civilization that had faced the Dominion before, the battle would have ended right there. The beams struck the human formation. Except, they didn't. Every human ship disappeared. Not exploded. Disappeared. The Dominion bridge erupted. Direct hits confirmed. Wait. Negative. They're gone. Then the sensors updated. The human fleet had not been destroyed. They had moved. Entire squadrons had shifted position microseconds before impact using a propulsion system unlike anything in Dominion records. There had been no visible acceleration. No warp signatures. No hyperspace jump. They simply weren't there anymore. Marcus Hale watched calmly. Phase 1 complete. For centuries, human physicists had pursued a question no one else considered useful. Could inertia itself be manipulated? Most civilizations had focused on building faster engines. Humans had chosen something stranger. They learned to make a ship briefly ignore its own momentum. For less than 1,000th of a second. It wasn't true teleportation. It was far more subtle. Just enough to slip between calculated trajectories. Against predictive alien targeting computers. It was devastating. Commander Varek shouted, "Recalculate." But before new targeting data finished processing, the first human counterattack began. Not with giant lasers. Not with planet-killing weapons. Instead, thousands of small metallic objects drifted away from the human fleet. The Dominion officers laughed. Projectiles. Primitive kinetics. They're using missiles? Their laughter lasted 5 seconds. Then every projectile split. 1 became 10. 10 became 100. Hundreds became thousands. Each contained autonomous AI guidance systems. A single launch transformed into millions of independently maneuvering strike vehicles. The tactical display turned completely white. There are too many targets. Point defense overwhelmed. Interceptors cannot lock. The swarm moved like a school of fish, constantly changing direction faster than Dominion computers could predict. The first Dominion destroyer vanished in a flash of blue light. Not because its reactor exploded. Because every external weapon had been struck simultaneously. Its shields overloaded. Its engines failed. Its communication array collapsed. The ship drifted helplessly. Disabled. Not destroyed. A second ship followed. Then a third. Then 50. Humanity wasn't trying to annihilate the fleet. They were surgically dismantling it. Weapon by weapon. Sensor by sensor. Engine by engine. Marcus Hale watched the battle unfold. Remember. His voice remained steady. We are defending our home. We do not fire on escape pods. We do not target medical vessels. We do not become monsters. Every captain acknowledged the order. Even now, humanity refused to abandon its principles. On the Dominion flagship, disbelief spread like wildfire. Loss reports flooded every display. Not massive casualties. Something worse. Combat effectiveness was collapsing. Entire battle groups had been neutralized without understanding how. Koresh stared at the human tactics. No. He whispered. Commander Varek looked confused. What? Koresh zoomed out the tactical map. The realization struck him like a physical blow. This isn't their real strategy. The bridge froze. What do you mean? Koresh's voice had become almost inaudible. They're studying us. The humans were using the opening battle not to win, but to learn every Dominion doctrine, response pattern, command hierarchy, and tactical habit in real time. Every exchange made them stronger. Every shot revealed another weakness. And then, the long-range sensors detected something else. Far beyond the hidden fleet beyond Pluto, another formation was approaching. Much larger. Much older. Something humanity had never mentioned. The bridge lights dimmed automatically as the sensor estimate appeared. Unknown human assets detected. Count. Classified. Estimated arrival. 11 minutes. For the first time in the Dominion's 10,000-year history, its supreme navigator experienced fear. For 11 minutes, neither side spoke. The battle slowed to scattered exchanges as the Dominion struggled to reorganize its shattered formations. Human drones continued disabling weapons, crippling engines, and blinding sensor arrays with surgical precision. Every minute that passed favored humanity. Every minute brought the unknown fleet closer. On the bridge of the Dominion flagship, the tactical display was no longer recognizable. Thousands of symbols flickered across the holographic map. Red. Blue. Yellow. Disabled ships drifted through the darkness, surrounded by repair drones desperately trying to restore damaged systems. Commander Varek slammed both fists onto the command console. Identify those reinforcements. The strategic AI responded instantly. Unable. Scan harder. Negative. They are actively refusing observation. What does that mean? The AI paused for nearly 2 seconds, an eternity for a quantum intelligence. Finally, it answered. The approaching vessels are invisible. Not cloaked. Not hidden. Invisible. Every known sensor detected them. Yet every time the computers attempted to resolve their shape, the images dissolved into static. Gravity scanners failed. Neutrino detectors contradicted infrared sensors. Quantum radar returned impossible geometries. It was as though the fleet deliberately refused to exist in a measurable state. Supreme Navigator Koresh felt an ancient instinct rise within him. Predators recognized other predators. Whatever approached, it had not been built to intimidate. It had been built to end wars before they truly began. Aboard the Resolute, Admiral Marcus Hale watched the same countdown. Arrival, 8:14. A young communications officer looked uneasy. "Sir, should we tell Earth?" Marcus remained silent for several moments. Then he shook his head. "Not yet. They deserve to know. They deserve to survive." The officer frowned. "I don't understand." Marcus looked through the observation window toward the tiny blue star that was the sun. "When this is over, they'll understand why some secrets must remain buried." Across Earth, panic was beginning to spread. The world's largest observatories had confirmed that thousands of artificial objects were maneuvering beyond Pluto. Governments could no longer dismiss the evidence. Emergency broadcasts interrupted every network. World leaders addressed their nations. They confirmed only one fact. Humanity had encountered an extraterrestrial civilization. No mention was made of the hidden fleet. No mention of Atlas. No mention that a battle was already underway. In homes, schools, offices, and city streets, billions stared at the skies, wondering whether tomorrow would ever come. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, inside a facility that officially did not exist, a vault opened for the first time in 74 years. Inside stood a single elderly woman wearing a faded military uniform. Dr. Miriam Solberg. Age, 102. Chief Architect of Project Atlas. She had spent most of her life preparing for a day she prayed would never arrive. A young officer entered the chamber. "They've crossed the line." She nodded without surprise. "And the Ghost Fleet? They're almost here." For the first time in decades. She smiled. 8 minutes became 5. 5 became 3. Across the Dominion fleet, every sensor suddenly went dark. Not destroyed. Overwritten. Stars vanished from navigation displays. Constellations disappeared. Even the distant glow of the galaxy faded into blackness. Panic spread across the bridge. What happened? "We've lost stellar reference. Navigation offline." Impossible. Space itself hasn't changed. No. Space hadn't changed. Something had changed the information flowing through it. Then, one by one, lights appeared. Not stars. Ships. Colossal silhouettes emerged from the darkness without any detectable propulsion. Each vessel was several times larger than the Resolute. Their hulls were scarred, ancient, and covered in symbols unlike any language recorded in the Dominion archives, or even in humanity's own databases. There were only 12 of them. Just 12. Yet their presence dominated the battlefield. The strategic AI issued a warning unlike anything it had ever produced. Threat level: undefined. Engagement not recommended. Commander Varek stared in disbelief. 12 ships. That's what we've been waiting for? Then one of the ancient vessels rotated slowly. The motion alone bent nearby starlight. Space rippled around its hull as though reality itself struggled to contain its mass. The Dominion's oldest officers suddenly recognized the design. Their expressions drained of all color. Koresh whispered a name that had not been spoken in over 6,000 years. "The Ghost Fleet." Every eye turned toward him. "You know them." He nodded slowly. "As a child, I thought they were only legends." "What legends?" Koresh swallowed. The stories said that whenever an empire became too arrogant, 12 silent ships would appear. And then, he looked at the tactical display. No empire ever appeared in the historical records again. At that exact moment, every screen aboard every Dominion vessel displayed a single line of text. Not in Dominion language. not in human language. But somehow, everyone understood it. Final warning. Leave this system. No signature. No explanation. Only the message. The battlefield fell silent once more. And for the first time, the invaders wondered whether humanity had never been the true guardians of Earth, but merely the current custodians of something far older. Not a single Dominion ship moved. The 12 ancient vessels drifted in absolute silence, their immense hulls blotting out the stars behind them. No engines glowed. No weapons charged. Yet every sensor aboard the Dominion armada screamed the same impossible conclusion. Do not engage. Supreme Navigator Koresh slowly lowered himself into his command chair. His breathing had become shallow. Across 10,000 years of Dominion history, countless enemies had risen and fallen. None had ever triggered the oldest emergency protocol hidden within the fleet's strategic AI. Until now. A forgotten archive unlocked automatically. The AI spoke with a voice no officer had ever heard before. Accessing restricted memory core. The bridge lights dimmed. Ancient symbols filled every display. Origin date. The AI paused. Unknown. A second pause. These records predate the founding of the Galactic Dominion. Silence. The archive projected a map of the infant Milky Way. There were only a handful of spacefaring civilizations. Then 12 enormous ships appeared. The same 12 now floating beyond Pluto. The AI continued. Historical designation. Keepers of the First Dawn. Images flashed across the bridge. Entire empires laying down their weapons. Stars being reignited after cosmic disasters. Planets rescued from extinction. And, occasionally, civilizations erased completely. Not out of conquest, but because they had threatened the balance of the galaxy itself. Commander Varek's confidence evaporated. Who built them? The AI answered. Creator, unknown. Estimated age? Greater than 1 million standard years. The bridge fell into stunned silence. Aboard the Resolute, Admiral Marcus Hale watched the ghost fleet emerge with quiet respect. He stood. Every officer on the bridge followed. No one saluted. Instead, they placed a hand over the emblem of Earth on their uniforms. A tradition older than Project Atlas itself. The communications officer smiled nervously. They came. Marcus nodded. They always said they would. You've seen them before? No. Then how do you know? Marcus looked toward the massive ancient ships. Because every generation before us kept their promise. Nearly 3 centuries earlier, the first Atlas expedition had ventured far beyond Pluto in search of rare minerals. Instead, they found a derelict beacon buried inside an icy dwarf planet. It wasn't broadcasting. It was waiting. When human engineers restored its power, a single message appeared. Not in words. In mathematics. A universal language. The message contained only 3 instructions. Protect your world. Prepare in silence. Call only if there is no other choice. There was no signature. No explanation. Only coordinates. Coordinates leading to the hidden station that humanity had expanded into Atlas Base over the next 3 centuries. The beacon never spoke again. Until today. Back in the present, one of the 12 ancient ships moved. Its hull shimmered with faint golden light. No weapons emerged. Instead, a pulse of energy swept across the battlefield. Every damaged human vessel was instantly restored to full operational status. Shattered armor repaired itself. Disabled reactors restarted. Destroyed drones reassembled from drifting debris. Across the Dominion fleet, stunned silence turned into genuine fear. They repaired them. Instantly. Across millions of kilometers. Commander Varek stared at the display. How? Koresh answered softly. We are asking the wrong question. What question should we ask? He looked at the ancient vessels. Why are they helping humanity? At that exact moment, Earth's skies lit up. Not with explosions. With auroras. Brilliant curtains of emerald, blue, and violet spread across every continent. Even regions that had never witnessed the northern lights stood beneath shimmering waves of color. People poured into the streets. Children laughed. Scientists stared in disbelief. Every observatory recorded the same impossible phenomenon. The entire magnetosphere of Earth had become synchronized with an unknown energy source beyond Pluto. No one understood what it meant, but millions felt the same strange sensation. Hope. Then, without warning, a transmission reached every ship in the solar system. Human. Dominion. Ghost fleet. The voice was calm. Ancient. Neither male nor female. It spoke perfect translations directly into every listener's mind. Children of many stars. A pause. This world is under our protection. The words echoed across every bridge. Not because its people are perfect. Not because they are the strongest. Another pause. Because when offered power, they chose responsibility. Marcus Hale closed his eyes. He had waited his entire life to hear those words. The voice continued. The test is complete. Every Dominion officer looked toward Koresh. Every human sailor looked toward Earth. No one yet understood what the test truly meant. But one thing had become undeniable. Humanity had not survived alone. For centuries, they had unknowingly been watched, measured, judged, and somehow, they had passed. Far beyond the battlefield, deep in intergalactic darkness, something colossal stirred, as if another ancient force had just noticed that the keepers of the first dawn had awakened once again. The real story of humanity was only beginning. The words of the keepers echoed through every ship in the solar system. The test is complete. For nearly a minute, no one spoke. Even the battlefield seemed frozen. Weapons remained charged. Engines hummed softly. Thousands of warships drifted in perfect stillness beneath the distant light of the sun. Then, something unprecedented happened. One of the 12 ancient vessels projected a beam of golden light toward the center of the battlefield. The light did not burn. It did not destroy. Instead, it unfolded into a colossal three-dimensional archive stretching thousands of kilometers across space. Every human and every Dominion officer watched the same images. The first image showed the Milky Way, not as it was today, but over 1 million years ago. Back then, the galaxy was alive with civilizations that modern species had never even imagined. Empires spanned entire spiral arms. Artificial stars illuminated worlds. Massive ring habitats circled black holes. It was an age of unimaginable advancement. Then the image changed. Without warning, entire star systems vanished. Not exploded. Erased. Like lights being switched off across the galaxy. Planet after planet disappeared into darkness. Within only a few centuries, 98% of intelligent life was gone. The bridge of the Dominion flagship became deathly quiet. Commander Varek whispered, "What could have done this?" The answer came immediately. The ancient voice spoke again. Pride. The next image revealed the truth. Those ancient civilizations had begun competing to control reality itself. They manipulated stars, altered time, weaponized gravity. Eventually, one empire attempted to build a device capable of rewriting the laws of physics across the galaxy. It failed. The experiment tore open fractures in spacetime. Entire civilizations were consumed by the catastrophe they had created. The galaxy almost died. Only a handful survived. Among them, the 12 keepers. The archive shifted once more. This time, it focused on a tiny yellow star, Sol. At the time, Earth was lifeless. Just another young planet orbiting an ordinary star. The keepers approached. Not to conquer. Not to colonize. But to prepare. They selected Earth because it was isolated, stable, and untouched by the ancient war. A place where intelligent life could one day begin again, without inheriting the arrogance that had destroyed the first galactic age. The keepers did not create humanity. Life on Earth evolved naturally over immense spans of time. But they did something far more subtle. When early humans emerged, the keepers observed them. They watched tribes share food during harsh winters. They watched strangers rescue one another from floods. They watched parents sacrifice themselves for children. They also witnessed wars, cruelty, greed, and violence. Humanity was flawed, deeply flawed. Yet every generation produced individuals willing to risk everything for others. The keepers found that unusual. The archive zoomed closer, into the human genome itself. Millions of strands of DNA appeared before every observer, hidden deep within human genetic code, beyond regions understood by modern science. A faint geometric pattern glowed. It was not artificial DNA. It was not alien engineering. It was a marker, a biological record, a silent witness. The voice explained, "We did not design your species. We remembered it." Scientists aboard the Resolute gasped. The pattern had no biological function. It was a message encoded into electromagnetic interactions at the quantum level. Invisible, harmless, undetectable by any civilization that wasn't specifically searching for it. Commander Varek stared in disbelief. So humans were being observed from the beginning. The voice replied, "Every civilization was." Supreme Navigator Koresh slowly stood. His mind raced through 10,000 years of Dominion history. They had conquered, expanded, ruled. Yet they had never asked the simplest question. Who was watching them? Now he knew. The keepers had never interfered with ordinary conflicts. They allowed civilizations to rise or fall through their own choices. Only one act demanded intervention. When a species sought domination over all others, the keepers appeared, exactly as they had today. On Earth, the auroras continued dancing across the skies. Inside observatories, genetic laboratories, and universities, instruments began detecting an impossible resonance inside every sampled strand of human DNA. The signal was incredibly faint, older than recorded history, impossible to explain. Researchers around the world reached the same conclusion independently. Something inside humanity had been waiting to be discovered. Admiral Marcus Hale looked toward the ancient fleet. His voice was barely above a whisper. "So that's why Atlas existed." The elderly Dr. Miriam Solberg, watching from the underground command facility, smiled through tears. "No, Marcus." He turned toward the screen. "It existed to prove humanity deserved the truth." Before Marcus could respond, every tactical display in the solar system flashed crimson. Not because of the Dominion. From far beyond the edge of the Milky Way, a new signal had arrived. It was ancient, powerful, and unlike anything the keepers had encountered in a million years. One of the 12 colossal ships slowly turned toward intergalactic space. For the first time, its shields activated. The keepers were preparing for war. Not against the Dominion. Against something far older. Something that had finally awakened. The signal arrived without crossing space. It did not travel at the speed of light. It did not emerge from hyperspace. It simply appeared. Every receiver in the solar system, from human satellites orbiting Earth to Dominion command arrays and even the million-year-old systems aboard the Keeper's vessels, registered the exact same pulse at the exact same instant. 3 terrifying seconds. Every display went black. Then a single symbol appeared. No one recognized it. Yet every mind that looked upon it felt the same emotion: dread. The 12 keeper ships reacted immediately. For the first time since they had entered the solar system, their ancient hulls came alive. Golden lines spread across armor plates like rivers of molten sunlight. Massive structures unfolded from within each vessel, revealing rings hundreds of kilometers wide rotating around brilliant cores. The energy they emitted made nearby stars appear dim. Human instruments instantly overloaded. Dominion scanners shut themselves down to prevent permanent damage. Even Atlas advanced quantum sensors returned one impossible message: power output unmeasurable. Admiral Marcus Hale stared at the readings. So, he whispered, they've never been using their full strength. Far beyond Pluto, one of the keepers transmitted directly to Atlas. Not in words, in coordinates. A destination. Dr. Miriam Solberg examined the map. It pointed far outside the Milky Way, beyond satellite galaxies, beyond known intergalactic space, to a region astronomers believed was almost completely empty. Except, the keeper's map showed something there. A structure, larger than entire star clusters, older than the Milky Way itself. Marcus looked toward Dr. Solberg. What is it? She slowly shook her head. I don't know. Then she smiled sadly. And that's what frightens me. The ancient voice returned. This time, it carried unmistakable urgency. Children of Earth. Children of the Dominion. Your conflict ends now. Every weapon aboard every ship powered down automatically. No override existed. Not even Atlas could reactivate them. The keepers continued. The hunters have awakened. Across the battlefield, confused looks spread from bridge to bridge. Commander Varek frowned. Hunters. Koresh closed his eyes. He remembered another legend. One even older than the Ghost Fleet. A story dismissed as mythology. The civilizations that destroyed the First Age had not all died. Some had fled into the darkness between galaxies, waiting, sleeping, until the younger races became numerous enough to harvest. The archive expanded once more. This time, no historical images appeared. Only mathematics, population curves, civilization growth, energy consumption, then a horrifying projection. The combined technological output of the modern Milky Way had finally crossed a threshold. Humanity's discovery of fusion-scale stellar engineering, the Dominion's expansion, dozens of rising civilizations. Together they had produced enough energy to be noticed. Not by neighbors, by predators. The keepers had never been guarding Earth alone. They had been guarding the entire galaxy, waiting for the day the ancient enemy returned. On Earth, billions continued watching brilliant auroras illuminate the heavens. Then every phone, every television, every radio, every computer, activated simultaneously. No hacking, no internet. The signal simply existed. People in every language heard the same calm voice. Do not fear. Around the world, silence replaced panic. The voice continued. Your world has not been chosen for destruction. A pause. It has been chosen for defense. Children looked toward the sky. Parents held their families close. Scientists stopped taking notes and simply listened. For the first time in history, every human being shared the exact same moment. Aboard the Dominion flagship, Koresh slowly approached the human communication channel. His hand hovered over the transmitter. Commander Varek stared at him. What are you doing? Koresh answered without hesitation. The only logical thing. He opened the channel. Admiral Hale. Marcus appeared on the holographic display. For several seconds, neither commander spoke. They had stood on opposite sides of a battlefield only moments earlier. Now everything had changed. Koresh inclined his head. The Dominion requests. He paused, choosing his words carefully. An alliance. Marcus looked toward the 12 keeper ships, then toward the distant blue light of Earth. Finally, he nodded. Welcome. Not as conquered enemies. Not as rivals. But as fellow defenders. Just then, the stars beyond the edge of the Milky Way began disappearing. 1. Then 10. Then hundreds. Not because they exploded. Because something unimaginably vast moved in front of them. Even the keepers turned to face the approaching darkness. For the first time in over 1 million years, the guardians of the galaxy prepared for their greatest battle. And humanity would stand beside them.